If you look at the progression of Beyblade anime, it could be almost any series. I have not watched both, so I'll exclude that. But any series apart from that, it follows a simple team building process where you gather with bladers who are either your opponent's turns, teammates, or just people who support you, get together, compete, and try to be the best. On the contrary, we have these Beyblade tournaments which are centered around the self as an individual, where you participate as an individual. You go there, you try to win, it's you against everyone. And this is where I feel there is room for major improvement. Hi, I am Anthony, aka Tony Bays. I host Beyblade tournaments in Mumbai, and this is just my feedback around why Takara Tomy and Beyblade X should do more of these team tournaments. So the idea of a team tournament is pretty simple. You go attend a tournament with a team of three, and you're paired up with other teams, and you try to win basically 2:1 score, or it could be any sort of format. The format that I personally like is getting to 15 points, and you can change team members, but at every interval, that is 5 points and 10 points, you need to compulsorily switch your teammate essentially, and all of you have two bays each. Every participant has two bays, and that means you have six bays in total. In that, you cannot have repeating parts, so this makes for more competitive builds, and it creates this environment where you need to test out multiple combos and talk it out with your teammates. So that makes sure that everyone decides, okay, this is what I'm good with, this is what I'm going for, is this cool? So it, of course, there's some team building activity going on, there's some discussion going on, so that is the first step. Once you come at a tournament and once you start your battle against a team, you also need to see what combos you are good against and what combos your opponents are using, and you need to calibrate your sort of launches and techniques accordingly. So this is the stage one and stage two of it. So pre tournament, during tournament, and after tournament, you can of course sit and have a chat with your team around what went wrong or what went good if you win. I mean, probably I would, but yeah, that's besides the point. So those are three things, and once we have cleared this path of you as a tournament attendee going to a competitive tournament in your city, what does it entail? First thing that I like is it allows for participation. What I mean by this is a team tournament is good word of mouth marketing for you and your community, and even Beyblade X in general, because you're going to be asking people if they would like to attend a team tournament with you. You might even lend them some base, teach them how to launch, and perhaps they'll be interested in joining. And this is how you bring more people into the fold, and it becomes a fun hobby for everyone to enjoy. On the other hand, I do feel that Beyblade X has a huge potential for cultural impact, almost on the same level as Pokemon, maybe it's a bit less, but I do feel there is room for improvement in terms of what Takara Tomy does. Because what I feel is if you can do team tournaments, you can bring in a lot of people into the sort of culture that's being built, the sort of community that's there. What I mean by this is if you can get your local esports team or maybe a bunch of influencers, maybe a few celebrities, and have them participate in Beyblade X tournaments, it increases the overall appeal of it, and it makes it a bit exclusive because you have people that you look up to and you're going up against them. So you are more likely to obviously be there, participate, and also try to win, and of course talk to the people you're inspired by. On the other hand, I feel like this sort of team building environment is nice for even corporates. Even if you are if you're working at an office or something, you could probably ask your like your employer, HR, maybe that, oh, I this is fun thing going on, shall we put in a team? It is fun. And this leads me to my next point, is basically the idea of brand wars that you can build with Beyblade X. So just imagine a Beyblade X tournament where teams are essentially sponsored by brands or are brands directly. You enter your team's logo, subset, and everything. The assets are all based around your brand that you're building, and it opens for nice opportunities because you can compete with brands who are maybe in the same industry or a different industry. But it is fun because then you can make some content out of it, and of course in the long term it shows that you care about the community and you're doing things out there which are out of the traditional marketing norms. Builds rapport, and it helps people understand that you're just more than someone trying to sell them daily. I'm looking at some of the brands out there that I am subscribed to, and they spam a lot, trust me. Coming back to Beyblade X tournaments, I do feel like single one-on-one tournaments should exist. They should keep happening, but I do feel that there should be an emphasis on Beyblade X team tournaments as well, because of course, you can get more people in, people will watch more, people will be more inclined towards bringing in more people. But I do feel that it essentially is good for any sort of society or city in general, because it obviously boosts activity, because you have people coming in, you have people doing things, and you're not stuck with like a boring weekend or a loop where you cannot get anything done, because you're not being a lazy couch potato or something. You're going out there doing things and exploring the idea that yes, something that is a hobby can also be a hobby sport where you can compete in. Of course, as you go along the ladder, you can have huge sponsorships. You can tie up with different brands and maybe have prizes or sponsored teams. So something or the other, and this in general increases the overall appeal of Beyblade X is what I feel. Of course, it will not be an Olympic grade sport, or it will not be a sort of what you'd call it, like a something that rakes in a lot of money like UFC or something like that. But I do feel there's potential for it to be up there with, let's say, the same scale as a Pokemon VGC tournament or a TCG tournament, and it can get people going on for a long time. And I just feel like this is a mark that has been missed for a very long time. I do understand that there are a lot of hurdles when it comes to marketing something like Beyblade, but I do feel it is doable, and I feel that the scale can be achieved. So maybe if someone from Takara Tomy is watching this, I'll be happy to talk more and maybe get things on track in a way that benefits everyone and everyone's happy. This is Tony Base. I make content around Beyblade, more on the cultural slash convenience side of building a community around Beyblade. So if you like stuff like that, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.